I'm Brett, and I've developed a new, simple, modern spiritual philosophy. And in this series of videos, I'd like to tell you all about it. So stay tuned, and if you like what you're hearing, tell other people about it, comment, ask me questions, and we'll go forward from there. Thank you very much. Hi, and welcome back to You Know Yourself with me, Brett. So let's get straight into my observations, my ideas, my thoughts about what I believe the human being to be made up of from a very simplistic modern point of view. So I'm not going to be using convoluted language, or I'm going to try not to. And maybe I'm not going to be asking you to believe in anything. These are what I think are observations. So you might be able to see these things yourself. It doesn't mean to say that you have to agree with me or believe in it, because that's up to you, what you think about these things and what you believe in and what you observe. But I'm putting forward my ideas about them for you to contemplate and to decide about for yourself. So let's start with the human body. The human body is that part of our being which allows us to do. It's to do with doing. And we do through action. And action and the body have sort of the same sort of nature about them. They are absolute. That you either do an action or you do not. The body either is or is not. Now, before we go any further, I know that we could talk about things like synaptic gaps in the brain, and therefore there's a bit of the body that kind of is and is not at the same time because of the electro firings between the two synaptic gaps. This is what I mean. I'm trying to keep this sort of relatively simple and not complicated, because I think this stuff is well overcomplicated. It's so overcomplicated, and there could be a reason for that, but I'll get into that in a different video. So let's just keep it really simple. The body's really easy to identify. It possibly also is the tool that we have to help us identify between me and not me. It has an absolute nature to it. It is or it is not. This is either part of me or everything out here. This camera, my recording device here, is not me. Not that me is the sum total of, not that the sum total of me is just my body. There's more, which we'll go into in a minute. It's possible that we gave ourselves, and again, I'm aware that now we're sort of slowly moving into sort of woo-woo crazy talk, but just bear with me a little bit here. It's possible that we gave ourselves sport, and again, I sort of struggle with sport because I think sport is great, but I know that it comes with its own connotations of competition and achievement, which are things that could be useful to the human being, but are sometimes abused and used in not very helpful ways. But again, bear with me. We possibly gave ourselves sport so that we could exercise our human body. Sport, which sounds really obvious, but it has the same sort of nature as action and the body. Sport is sport when it has clearly defined boundaries. Football is football as opposed to rugby because it has clearly defined boundaries as to what football is. Something either is football or it's not football. Something's either badminton or it's not badminton. It's tennis or it's not tennis. Now, further to that, it's possible that maybe it was sport, maybe it was just simply movement. We gave ourselves movement to exercise our human body. Yes, there's a lot of complicated stuff about you got to lift weights or do this or do cardio or do that. All of those things what they have in common is movement. There's very little you can do standing and tensing, and that might strengthen your. But even that's movement. That's not lack of movement. That is constrained, orchestrated movement and tense movement in a way. It's not using your muscles. It's holding them tight. So I'm aware that that sport has certain connotations to it about achievement and competition and beating other people, which doesn't sound great. But it's not to say. But those are some human concepts that we've put on top, that we're overlaying on sport. So if it's easier for you, and I do struggle with it, and this is not a fixed idea, so it's open to interpretation. It's open to being a little bit fluid. We could just as easily say movement is what we gave ourselves to exercise the human body, and through exercising it, we get to keep it functional. And we get to keep it optimal, and we get to keep it able to be used. Because the function of the human body is to contribute to the experience of I, to the experience of me, through movement and through the nature of absoluteness. So hence why we have something, again, movement. You either move or you don't move. It's absolute. So we had to have something that was of the same nature as the body. Now that's a quite simple one, and it sounds really obvious, me saying we have movement and sport to exercise the body. But again, I don't see that happening a lot in society. We're not properly encouraged and empowered to engage in functional movement which keeps the body functioning. Because all the time we're not exercising, and I don't just mean physical movement, but because you'll see what I mean by the word exercising as this video continues. All the time we're not using our body, we're not keeping it optimal. And again, we are not empowered through what I call the cycle of disempowerment, which will come later. We're not empowered to use our bodies and to keep them optimal and functioning properly. The mind. So remember, we're looking at body, mind, soul, and spirit. The mind. The mind is that part of our being that deals with understanding through thinking. Again, I don't really want to get too caught up in complicated explanations, because the bigger picture is a little bit more interesting to me, and because getting caught up in complicated explanations is a great distraction from looking at the bigger picture of why are we not exercising these elements and keeping them functional and optimal, and therefore using them. Why are we not? I mean, even if you took away the word exercise and replace it with using. So if our mind deals with understanding through thinking, what do we have that helps us exercise or use that? I would say it's language. Language is abstract. When I say the word house, I don't produce a house. I produce a sound which you understand, which you connect. You connect the sound house with the concept house, with the idea of house. It's abstract. I don't actually physically produce a house for you to look at. I produce a sound which you connect to an idea that you have. Therefore, it's abstract. Understanding is abstract. Thinking is abstract. Thinking something is not the same as the actual thing. So we have language which helps us to use and exercise our human understanding and our thinking. And we can attain understanding through using thinking. Where the mind is, what the mechanics of the mind are, what the mechanics of thinking is again a little bit sort of getting into the weeds of it and getting into too much detail. And that to me is not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is trying to look at the bigger picture, but that bigger picture can have some detail in it, such as what the body, mind, soul, and spirit are, and where its place is in what I call the cycle of disempowerment. So for now, without getting lost into details of whether the mind exists in the brain or any other business, your mind is that part that of you that deals with understanding through thinking, and to help us exercise that and to use it, we have language. Language is direct communication, and it has the nature of being abstract, just like thinking is. So it has the same nature, so it gets to be used in the same way as the very thing that we're trying to do, which is understand. So hence why they work together to build each other. The soul. And yes, for me, there is a distinction between the soul and the spirit, and I'm about to describe where and how. So the human soul is that part of us that deals with awareness, self-awareness. And it deals with awareness using feelings, which come about through emotions. It deals with our self-feelings. It deals with feelings through working through emotions and through becoming aware of emotions. If I become aware of an emotion that I'm feeling, I get to have a sense of I'm feeling something. And what we have to help us exercise that is art. Art deals with and should, in many respects, and should bring up a feeling and should be the expression of a feeling. And it is. That's what art is. It's really easy to intellectualize art and to talk about what the artist was trying to say, but that's an intellectual language. That's an intellectual concept. That's an intellectual exercise that we've put on art. When you listen to a piece of music and it brings something up in you, when you watch a bit in a film that makes you cry or makes you happy or makes you sad or makes you angry, that is art bringing about a feeling inside you. Now, it's not the purpose of the soul just to emote or to become aware of self-awareness about external bits of about external stimuli coming in. It is the function of the soul to become aware of our own feelings. So when I say that art exercises the soul, it's a little bit like the idea of we don't just go to the gym so that we're fit at the gym. We go to the gym and exercise so that then we go out into life and are fit and capable in life, in our everyday existence outside of the gym. Art is like a little bit of a gym for the human soul. It allows you to practice feeling a feeling. It allows you to purposely bring something to yourself and to say, what does that bring up for me? So that when you go out into the rest of life, you can identify for yourself, oh, what is that bringing up for me? What's that feeling there? And how do I feel about that? What emotion is that? And what is it? What am I feeling right now? That's why it's about self-awareness, not awareness of other people's feelings or emotions, or awareness of what some external stimuli is trying to make you feel. It's awareness of what you are actually feeling inside, which is a big deal, because we're really not encouraged to do that. We're not empowered to do that. We're not empowered to have self-awareness of ourself, because that's not, it's just not talked about that much. It's not encouraged. It's not encouraged and empowered. Again, as I'll explain later on in later videos. But the purpose, the function of having, of our soul, is to bring about in us and our I experience, to bring about in me my experience of my awareness of what is going on for me in my feelings, so as to contribute to the whole experience of the human I, along with my doing and my understanding. The human spirit. So to make that distinction between soul and spirit, the human spirit is that part of me, us, you, that deals with being, and it deals with that through choices and through choice and through making choices. And so yes, you could have an intellectual understanding of the choice that's presented to you. You could have a feeling and an awareness of a feeling about the choice. But to actually make that choice, that is the function and purpose of the human spirit. And I'm aware that I'm sort of touching on an area here where, oh, he's talking about spirituality. Isn't that crystals and meditating and a load of woo-woo stuff? I think this is where one of the areas where I might have to try and have a little bit of courage, because I don't think that is. I think that's a sort of branded, commercial, sellable element of spirituality. And my experience is that still doesn't give a definition of what spiritual is. That is a definition, that is an explanation of what so-called spiritual people do. That still is not a definition of what your spirit is or what spiritual is. Dare I say, I am offering a definition of what your spirit is. Your spirit is that part of your being that deals with choices. As I say, you can have an intellectual understanding of a choice, you can have an awareness of a feeling about a choice, but to actually make that choice. And again, this is possibly one of the things that really defines the human being. We make choices. They're not always great choices. We can intellectually understand that something's a bad choice. We can even have a feeling that it's a bad choice. Yet, we still make that choice. And then we have a human body that enables us to live out that choice and to act on that choice. So, the purpose and the function of the human spirit is to make choice and choices. And that enables us, that enables our being, that enables us to be in the world. It's possible that everything is a choice. Therefore, the choice to wash your car is no more or less spiritual than the choice to engage in learning about crystals or doing yoga or doing meditation. I'm not against those things. I'm just saying those are the things that a so-called spiritual person does. That does not define spirituality. For me, I'm putting forward what might sound very simple, a definition of spiritual. It is choices. It is choice. It is the capability that we have inside us to make a choice, irrespective of the intellectual understanding of it, irrespective of our self-awareness of the feeling that we have about those choices. To actually make that choice is what the purpose and the function of the spirit is. And the thing that exercises that spirit is choice. So let's look at those four things together, because not one of them is more important than the other three. They all work together. If we were just a body, we would just be this body without any capability of understanding. If we were just and without the ability to have a self-awareness about our feelings, and without the ability to make choices. If we were just the mind, we would just have the function of understanding, and we wouldn't have anything to do, any capability of doing anything with that understanding. We wouldn't have any awareness of our feelings about that understanding, and we wouldn't have the ability to make a choice, and so on and so forth. They all four work together. Not one of them is more or less important than the other. All four of them could do with being exercised and strengthened and kept at optimal functionality. And I don't think we're doing that. I don't think that we are using movement to exercise our body. I don't think we're using language to exercise our mind. I don't think we're using art to exercise our soul. And I don't think we're using choice to exercise our spirit and keep them strong and functional. And it's really easy to have an understanding of exercising the body, because granted, some people do. But then maybe those people then focus just purely on the body, and it's possible again. So now I'm getting into the territory of possibly telling you what to do. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I am not here to tell you what to do. I am questioning and I am observing that would we individually have a more embodied, more authentic sense of ourselves and a more real sense of ourselves if we exercised our four main parts: the body, mind, soul, and spirit. If we used movement, used language, used art, and used choice, and were conscious. If we did those things with intent, if we had real intent and real, see, I don't want to use awareness or consciousness in a way. I think there's something about intent, maybe. If we were really clear that we were using those four things to exercise and build and keep functional our body, mind, soul, and spirit, would that create a more embodied, authentic, stronger experience of of me? I don't see, when I look around and when I look at myself, and let's be really clear about that, because a lot of this came from self-observation. I struggle to feel my feelings. And in the course of that, I do think there's a linear pattern in a way to this, and I'm cautious of saying this, but I'm going to say it. It's really easy to exercise your body. It's sort of less clear how to exercise your mind, even less clear how to exercise your soul, and maybe not so clear, because it seems so obvious, how to exercise your spirit. But the linearness is also to do with like we think we're making choices, but we're not. We're absolutely not. We're not really engaging in art that much, and in a sense of, I wish to go out right now and experience something. And I don't just mean pictures. Art is any creative endeavor that somebody's done their utmost best to try to create, which has come from a sense of a feeling. People don't go out to try and exercise their soul. we're not doing very well at using language. Language is slowly changing. It's becoming more and more simplified. It's being dumbed down. And I don't think there's any surprise that there's a correlation between us becoming intellectually dumbed down and our language becoming dumbed down. And again, I might get some stick for that, and I acknowledge that, and I get that. It's my observation that I'm making, that we're dumbing down language and we're dumbing down the human society and the human in general. And that we have the freedom to exercise our intellect and our understanding. We have the freedom to exercise our ability to become aware of our feelings and to feel those feelings, and to not be trying to push them away because we're not practiced and we're not experienced at feeling our feelings. And we have the ability to exercise our ability to make choices. But that ability to make choices is not being exercised because we're not given the freedom to exercise that ability to make a choice, as will be explained in the cycle of disempowerment. We are being disempowered. Part of being disempowered is that we don't have the power, we don't have the strength, the functionality to make choices, to feel our feelings, to intellectually understand something, and then to act on and move using our body and incorporating our choice, our self-awareness, and our understanding. Those four things exist together. They cannot exist individually. At the moment, we are not exercising them and strengthening them and keeping them at optimal functionality. We are just not. We like to think we are in some respects, and I might get a load of stick about, like, what are you talking about? Of course we're all making choices. I don't observe that we are. I just don't observe that we are. I don't observe that we are exercising our soul. I don't observe that we're exercising our mind. And I don't mean doing maths questions. I mean exercising our ability to understand something. Again, all that will be explained in future videos. If you have any questions about the build-up of the body, mind, soul and spirit, then please do leave them. I understand that it might sound a bit simple. I've tried to use simple modern language. The body is our tool for doing, which we do through action. The mind is our tool for understanding, that we do through thinking. The soul is our tool for self-awareness, that we do through emotions and feelings. And our spirit is our tool for making choices and for choice, which we do through choosing. And each one of those has things that we can use to exercise and keep them strong. We have movement for the body, we have language for the mind, we have art for the soul, and we have choice for the spirit. Through using those things, we can strengthen our total human being and strengthen our I experience. Yeah, like I say, if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them wherever you're watching this. And I'll catch you all soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.